going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here to talk to you about a comic book with maybe the most confusing title ever, Ultimate Comics X Origins, or if you're looking at the cover, Ultimate X Origins. This is by Jeph Loeb and Art Adams. This is a 5-issue miniseries from I don't know when. Believe it or not, this does not have anything to do with me trying to cash in on the announcement a few weeks ago that the Ultimate Universe was returning. If you look up here on the top shelf up there, those are all of my most of my non-graphic novel books that I have read since I started this job that I'm at right now, and I have almost filled up that shelf, and so I've decided I'm going to move down to the next shelf, which is mostly my Ultimate books and my Captain America books. And so I decided I would reread most, if not all, of my Ultimate stuff as I move them down to another shelf. And some of these books I have not read in years, and some of them I probably liked at one time and will feel differently about when I reread them. Case in point, Ultimate Comics X Ultimate Origins Comics. I have said before that I feel like Jeph Loeb, there are two different Jeph Loebs that you can get. You can get Jeph Loeb trying to do a big 12 or 13 part storyline like The Long Halloween or Hush, and I don't think that those are very good. I think I'm the only person on the planet that does not like The Long Halloween. I like Tim Sale's art. I think Tim Sale was an amazing artist. I loved his art, but I think most people who say that they love that story, if you pick their brains and if you ask them to think about it, they're going to say that what they love about it is Tim Sale's art. Most people probably don't really like Jeph Loeb's writing in that story. And Hush, I think I'm a little bit more, there's a few more people who agree with me on Hush. I don't think that it's very well written either. But I do think that when Jeph Loeb stays away from the big, gigantic epics, like in the Batman stories where he's trying to include every Batman villain known to man in his story, and then it just becomes a big, chaotic, jumbled mess. When he stays away from the big event stories and he writes something smaller, I think that he's pretty good most of the time. Sticking with the Batman theme, Haunted Night is 3 standalone stories set on a Halloween featuring Batman, and I thought those were well written. They were tight and concise. It's been a long time since I've read that book, but I liked it so much more than Long Halloween or Dark Victory or Hush or anything else written by Jeph Loeb where he's trying to do this big, giant thing. And then you have Ultimate Comics Origins X Ultimate Comics X, which is kind of the best of both worlds, because this is actually 5 fairly standalone stories, but it's all building into something bigger. So this comes after Ultimatum, which was written by Jeph Loeb, and I have not read Ultimatum. I have never heard anyone say anything good about that story. All that I know about it is that Magneto flooded New York City, a whole bunch of characters from the Ultimate Universe died, mostly X-Men, but I know that the Blob ate the Wasp. And then after that, mutants are illegal. If you are found to be a mutant, you are arrested and or shot on sight. So this is set in the new status quo. Ultimatum, say what you will about it, offered kind of a soft relaunch on the Ultimate Universe. I imagine the thinking was that people are kind of getting tired of the Ultimate Universe, so let's shake things up a little bit, and people who haven't been reading for the last 8 years, they can come in on this new ground floor that we are setting up. Because the whole point of the Ultimate Universe in the early 2000s was you don't have to have knowledge of the past 40 years of continuity to read these comics. You can just jump in and it's brand new, and you don't have to know everything about all these characters for the past 40 years. But then that kind of bites you in the butt whenever the Ultimate Universe has been going for 8 years, and then someone who just started reading comics in 2008 might say, hang on a second, there's this universe, is it connected to this other universe? Yes and no, kind of. And so then they're like, well, maybe we should just kind of do a soft relaunch. Let's kill a bunch of these characters that we don't really know what we're doing anything with them, and then we will kind of start afresh with a brand new version of the X-Men, and we get their origin in this comic. The problem is, this is like a pilot episode for a TV series that never got picked up. This is the origin of a new team of X-Men that we never get to see do anything. Now, I know that they show up up again in another book. There was an Ultimate Hawkeye book, a miniseries that came out right around the same time that this came out, and I think that this team showed up there. I'm pretty sure, let's see if he's on the cover, this guy with the wings, Derek, I'm pretty sure I remember seeing him in the Ultimate Hawkeye miniseries. If it wasn't that, it was something else that was coming out right around this time. So this new team did show up a little bit around this time, but this is like the big origin story for a new team, and then we don't get to see any adventures of this new team. And so while this is 5 basically standalone stories, and I do feel like Jeff Loeb excels a lot more at a standalone story that's done in one and it doesn't carry over into later issues, I think he works a lot better in that kind of writing. Ultimately, no pun intended, this feels like it's part of something bigger and we don't get to see the something bigger. And so it's very frustrating reading this, and at the end I'm thinking, okay, the team is set up, now I want to see what they're going to do, and then we don't get to see what they're going to do. I did read a little bit of Ultimate Comics X-Men, which I think was written by Nick Spencer. I don't remember. I've got it somewhere over there, at least 2 trades. I don't remember how long that series lasted. I may not have that whole series, but I know that that series did not feature these characters. I haven't even talked about the premise of this book. I've just been backstory so far, but Ultimate Comics X-Men had like Kitty Pryde living in the sewers with the Human Torch, and then you had Storm and Colossus are captured by the government and they're captive in a building somewhere, and it didn't have any of these characters. So if you read this and you're thinking, okay, this is like the new generation of the X-Men, and then you see Ultimate Comics X-Men as a thing, you might think, oh, okay, these guys are going to show up there. No. So it's frustrating. Now, the premise here is that, like I said, following Ultimatum, mutants are illegal. And in the first issue, we are following Jimmy Hudson, who is the son of Wolverine, but he was raised by Jim Hudson and Heather McDonald Hudson, who in the main Marvel Universe, they are Guardian and Vindicator from Alpha Flight. This is Jimmy right here, front and center on the cover. He has claws and healing factor like Wolverine, but also his bone claws can become metal. Like in the first issue, he pops out some bone claws and then metal comes out of his hands and covers up the claws for some reason. And Kitty Pryde says, well, yeah, I knew a guy named Colossus who could turn into metal, so this is kind of like that. But he has a healing factor sometimes. Later on, Sabretooth finds him and starts beating him up, basically because I don't like your dad, or I didn't like your dad, he's dead now, and since he's dead, I'm gonna beat you up for some reason. And sure, I guess Sabretooth is crazy, that makes sense, I guess, but then his healing factor isn't working. He was beaten pretty severely, but then he's not healing from that, and we're never told why. But anyway, Kitty Pryde finds Jimmy, who's living in Florida. I guess in Ultimate Universe, the Hudsons, they live in Florida and not Canada. But she finds him and says, hey, your dad was Wolverine. He wanted me to tell you. And then he leaves, and you're thinking, okay, Kitty Pryde is going to be starting a new generation of the X-Men. After that issue, we do not see Kitty Pryde again. I don't know. I feel like there is a better way that they could have structured this book, and I'll get to that in a minute. Then, issue 2, we focus on Jean Grey, who is working in a mall, and each issue is from the perspective of somebody who is not one of these main characters. So, issue 1 is from the perspective of Jimmy's adopted father. Issue 2 is from the perspective of a mall cop who has a crush on Jean, who has dyed her hair and is now going by Karen. And then issue 3 is from the perspective of, this is Derek with the wings, as his older brother. Issue 4 is from the perspective of Liz Allen's mom. That's Liz Allen with the fire powers. Liz Allen, classically a Spider-Man character. She previously appeared in many issues of Ultimate Spider-Man before Ultimatum. And then issue 5, spoilers, is from the narration is from Nick Fury. But anyway, each issue is narrated by someone else, and so we find out Jean Grey has kind of gently mind-wiped these people that she knows and works with at the mall, making them think that she's been there for years. And this one guy, he's like, you know, she and I, we've been dating forever. We went on our first date a couple years ago. We went and saw the movie WALL-E. And then she gets mad at him because he posted her picture on Facebook. And then Mystique and and Sabretooth, they find her in the mall, and they're like, hey, we don't want to fight, we just want to talk. And then Jean Grey, like, throws a couple of cars at Sabretooth. Well, Sabretooth guts this guy that has a crush on Karen, and so then Jean throws a couple of cars at Sabretooth, and Mystique is like, we didn't do anything wrong, why'd you do this, Jean, huh? And Mystique has to be the biggest idiot in the world if she thinks, like, we didn't do anything wrong. So then Jean goes back to her apartment to pack, and then Jimmy Hudson walks in, and he says, hey, I'm Wolverine's son. And we are never told how Jimmy Hudson found her and why he found her. Later on, Jean starts going around and recruiting these other people, and she says, I have help in finding you guys and recruiting you. But Jimmy is the one who found Jean, going by Karen. So then issue 3 is Derek, and we get kind of the backstory and what's been going on with him. He became a mutant. He's hiding it from his older brother. He's trying to help support his brother, but he doesn't have a job, so he's finding like some guy who is about to murder the mayor's daughter, and he picks him up, tells him, you're going to leave town, and also give me your wallet. And so he's mugging villains, and he's trying to support his brother, but his brother, even though he doesn't agree with the law, when he finds out that Derek is a mutant, he says, look, I am going to arrest you. And so Jean gently mind wipes his older brother, tells him, you know, your younger brother went and got a job in Cincinnati doing construction. And so then they leave, and then the next issue, we find out, I don't know when we found this out, but I found out here that Liz Allen is actually the daughter of the Blob, and that the Blob also had another son named Teddy. And when the Blob died, he left instructions for Liz Allen's mom, I will give you a whole bunch of money, but you have to take in my other son, Teddy. And so they have moved to California now, and Teddy, I feel really bad for Teddy. Teddy is just minding his own business, and then his friend throws a cheeseburger at the vice principal. And so then the vice principal suspends both of them, and then Teddy is at home, and then he is overhearing Liz telling her mom, I really hate Teddy, he's so gross and disgusting. And then the next day, Teddy's friend brings a gun to school and shoots the vice principal, and then Teddy is just like, whoa, what's going on? And he's like, hey, put the gun down, and somebody is filming it, and I guess they're live streaming with their phone, like it's a student with a phone, and somehow the news is outside of the school, like, reporting on this, and they're like, these two boys have shot the vice principal, and I'm thinking, you would have to be blind to think that Teddy had anything to do with that, because he didn't have a gun, he clearly had nothing to do with it. And then, I think the friend shoots Teddy because Teddy's trying to take the gun from him, and then you find out, okay, he has the Blob's powers, and so he can't be shot, and then the news is like, these two mutants are terrorizing the school, and then Liz tries to save Teddy, and a big giant explosion happens. We don't know how. Maybe because she touched the gun and there's like gunpowder in the gun, and so there was an explosion. I don't know. And then Jean and her crew come and they recruit Liz Allen, and then Quicksilver comes. And the last I saw Quicksilver was in the Ultimates written by Mark Millar. I completely skipped Ultimates 3 by Jeff Loeb and Joe Moderia, I think. Completely skipped that run. I didn't hear anything good about it. I don't know when or how Quicksilver became a villain. Maybe it was in the aftermath of Ultimatum, but here we find out Quicksilver basically is saying the U.S. government has outlawed the existence of mutants. We have to fight back. And so it's kind of a Magneto thing, except that it's I feel like Quicksilver has even more of a justification for doing what he does than Magneto did. Magneto kind of caused all this, whereas Quicksilver feels like he doesn't really have any choice. And so he's working with psychopaths and idiots like Sabretooth and Mystique. And so they, and you find that out in the next issue, sort of. So then they recruit Teddy because he says, you know, look, Liz, you think that I'm disgusting. Like, 10 minutes ago, you hated me. Why in the world would I go with you and these other people? And so I feel bad for Teddy, and I have no idea if we ever see him again after this miniseries. And then the next issue, Jimmy Hudson is going and trying to buy a beer somewhere, and then Sabretooth finds him and beats the crap out of him, and then somehow Jean finds out, or Jean suspects, that Quicksilver is working with Mystique and Sabretooth. Now, she's right, but I have no idea how she knows this, because when she finds Jimmy, he's alone, bleeding out on a sidewalk, and somehow she says Quicksilver's working with Mystique and Sabretooth. I have no idea how she knows this, because all she knows is that Quicksilver recruited Teddy, and Mystique and Sabretooth are working together. She does not know for sure that all four of them are working together. She does find that out later in the issue, but somehow she magically knows this. And so, for some reason, Jimmy's healing factor is not working, and then there's a little bit bit of a confrontation. Oh well, Jean goes and recruits the Hulk, who by now he is eloquent. He can speak. Previously, when I saw the Hulk, like in Mark Millar and Brian Hitch's Ultimates run, the Hulk he could talk, but he was like he wasn't talking like he is here. He was mostly screaming and he was enraged. And he would say, you know, Hulk wants to kill Freddie Prinze Jr. because Betty is on a date with him and stuff like that. He was talking almost like a child with, you know, super strength. And then here, Hulk, he's almost like Joe Fixit from the main Marvel line, where he can talk in full sentences. And I don't know how or when this transformation happened. And admittedly, there is a whole lot of Ultimate stuff in between Hulk in the Ultimates and here. So it's possible that I missed something, or it's possible that Jeff Loeb just decided he was going to write the Hulk a little bit differently. But Hulk is now the team's enforcer, and Jean Grey says, you might be a mutant, because in the Ultimate Universe, mutants are not a naturally occurring phenomenon. They were created in a lab. And she says, you know, you got your powers from science gone wrong, so maybe you're a mutant, sort of. Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. And so then Hulk finds Sabretooth, and he beats the crap out of him. And then basically, Jean and her team, and Quicksilver and his team, they agree, okay, we're going to have a ceasefire. Sabretooth, I did not tell him to go after your boy Jimmy, so you guys go your way, we'll go our way. And Jean says, okay, fine. And then she tells her team that Nick Fury has been giving her intel. And Nick Fury is no longer in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. He does not like the policy on mutants, even though in Mark Millar and Brian Hitch's, no, it wasn't Ultimates, it was Ultimate X-Men. It was toward the end of Millar and one of the Kubert brothers, I think, when their run on Ultimate X-Men, Fury seemed totally okay with the mass production of Sentinels. So I don't know why now he's not okay with the government's policy on mutants, but whatever. He has been giving Jean Grey intel. And so somehow the government, or at least Nick Fury, knows that Derek is a mutant and Liz Allen is a mutant. And he knows who these people are and where they are, but the government, if they know, they're not acting on this information. So I don't know how Nick Fury has this information and the government doesn't. I also don't know how or why Jimmy Hudson found Jean. And I feel like this could have been restructured just ever so slightly and would have made a lot more sense. Instead of having issue 1 be Jimmy Hudson, have issue 1 be Jean Grey. And then at the end of the issue, she says, okay, I'm been outed. I am going to go and find people, and we're going to fix this so that we don't have to be on the run all the time. I mean, we're still going to be on the run all the time, but we can help people like me who are also on the run all the time. You could end the issue like that. Then issue 2 could be Jimmy Hudson, and instead of Kitty Pryde being the one who tells Jimmy who he is, it would be Jean Grey. And then you could say, okay, Jean Grey somehow got in touch with Nick Fury, and he's telling her where all these people are. It still wouldn't make sense where Nick Fury is getting this information, but the whole miniseries would make a lot more sense, because as is, I'm asking myself, how and why did Jimmy Hudson find Jean Grey? Where did Kitty Pryde go off to? And I shouldn't have to go and read another series to find the answer to that. If you're doing a 5-issue miniseries, most, if not all, of the questions I have at the end should be answered by the end. And so, like I said, and then at the very end you find out that Scarlet Witch is working with Quicksilver and his team. So, like I said, at the end, I enjoyed it, but it left me wanting more. I had a whole lot of questions that weren't answered, and I wanted to see more adventures of this team, maybe written by someone who can actually write, and we never got that. These guys show up a little bit elsewhere. I think maybe Derek might have shown up. I know Jimmy Hudson, he shows up in X-Men Blue, which was after the Ultimate Universe, kind of, sort of, like some characters like Miles Morales and Jimmy Hudson got folded over into the main Marvel Universe after Secret Wars, and I think maybe Derek was also over there, and I think he was working for he was part of that Mother Vine story, I think. I may be wrong. But anyway, we didn't really get to see the ongoing adventures of this new version of the X-Men, and I would have liked to have seen that, because even though I had some problems with this story, I kind of liked it as a setup for future adventures, which unfortunately we never got. So that is about all that I have to say about X Ultimate X Comics Origins X. I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, I will see you guys in the future with something else. In the meantime, have a great day. Bye.